Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Cheryl Sanchez. I'm the founder of the NetWorks organization. I am the author of The Journey of Success, even when success is just getting out of bed. And I'm also a healthcare leader and advocate. The Networks is an accessible community of leaders, forward thinkers, entrepreneurs, and business owners who have joined together to realize individual and collaborative success. What does that mean? It means for everyone to be successful on everything that they want to do by themselves and everything that we can help each other to do together. And also to create and foster positive social impact. If you're interested in learning more about me, our members, or the networks, you can visit our website at thenetworks.org or find us on social media. Tonight is our first event of 2026, Plan Your Vision. I think we've been doing this now for 4 years. And the new year is a great time to really assess our dreams and think about our goals. But we should really remember that anytime, a new season, a new week, even a new day can be a great time to do this. So we're here tonight to help you discover what you want to achieve, to help you set powerful, achievable goals, turn those goals into growth, and create your vision for your future. And again, this is interactive, so feel free to ask questions. We have a few speakers this evening who will share some ideas, and we encourage all who would like to participate to please do so. Unfortunately, one of our speakers, Monica, is sick and not able to join us, but I will drop her contact info in the chat and share some of her information later. So let's go to the next slide. Before we talk about vision, I just want to acknowledge that there is a lot going on in the world right now. A lot. It's overwhelming. It's uneasy. There's just a lot. And when you add that kind of stress, a lot of us have not really felt before. When you add that kind of stress to the never-ending to-do list that we already have, it can make us feel like we have no control over the path of our lives. However, it's more important than ever to clear out the chaos, to get grounded, and focus on what we can control. Because by doing that, we find our purpose and we contribute to making the world a better place. Like the oxygen mask on the plane, take care of yourself, and then you can focus beyond yourself. Now let's talk about vision. And some questions to start thinking about is, what's your vision for 2026? What's important to you? And what do you want? Really important before you start setting goals and coming up with ways to meet your goals is, what do you even want? And so before you create your goals, you really have to first answer those questions. And it doesn't need to be complicated or really an overreaching process. And we can't get stuck on this step either. So if you're not really sure what you want or what your vision is, then there are a lot of ways that you can help figure it out. You can talk to trusted people. You can be a part of a group like our networks group. You can try journaling, go to therapy, read a bunch of books, watch some inspiring stuff. Oh boy, have I had the podcasts on every day since the new year started. Um, you can meditate or whatever works for you to get your thoughts and feelings flowing. And a handy starting point, at least for me, is to review the past year or whatever time period you want to review. Think about what went right. What were your successes? What made you happy? And importantly, what did you gravitate towards or away from in the past year? So now that we're talking about 2026, think about 2025. What happened during 2025? Acknowledge the good, acknowledge the not so good, get closure on whatever it is that maybe is up in the air or that you don't feel great about, or maybe there was something you wanted to do and you didn't get to do it. Make peace with it and end the year with gratitude, because we're all very lucky to be here in this new year, 2026. So we have all that to be grateful for. We need to rest and recharge. And we can't always do that all at one time, but we need to make sure we're spacing that out and we are taking care of ourselves and we're getting the rest that we need, because we cannot pour from an empty cup, or whatever that saying is. It's very, very true. We need to clear out the clutter. the mental clutter, the environmental clutter, because we need to have a clear space for us to be able to move forward with whatever it is that we want to do. And then we need to take some time to actually dream, visualize. I know Joel has a lot of conversations about visualization, and it is so important to actually take time out of your busy day to think about what it is you actually want. Where do you imagine yourself in a month, in a year, in 10 years? And then write it all down, because then you have a basis for what goals you want to set moving forward into the new year. So, how do you set goals? How do you turn those goals into success and growth? Well, first, you need to identify them. So, take those dreams that you've just thought of, those visions that where you've seen yourself, and break it down into some steps. Identify those goals. Ensure that whatever goals you're doing align with whatever direction you want to go in. And to me, this is like really important because a lot of times we'll pick something that's actually not even really important to us. I think a while back I was like, oh, I want to be like the top salesperson at my job, blah, 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 something like that. And then when I actually thought about it, I was like, I don't like selling. Like, why do I want to be the top, selling person at my job when sales is not one of my favorite things to do? So what I'm not going to set a goal for myself to be the top selling person if I don't even like selling. So make sure whatever goals you're setting for yourself align with what it is that you actually want to do and the direction that you actually want to go. And then determine your motivation for it. There's external types of motivation, like rewards. There's internal types of motivation for just how we feel about ourselves when we're doing certain things. So determine whatever your motivation is. Why do you want to do it? What are you going to get from achieving these things? And then make sure that the goals are very specific and attainable. So, for example, using that example of the sales thing, instead of saying I want to be like the number one salesperson in all of New York State, I'm not going to be able to do that. I mean, maybe, who knows? Never say never. But, maybe you'll make your goal, I want to sell 50 subscriptions to whatever. I want to sell 100 of Carol's books by the end of February. Specific, attainable. Oh, wait, Christine's book. I got to sell Christine's book too. Oh, wait. 100 of Christine's books and 100 of Carol's books by the end of February. Specific and attainable goals that are within reach, something that I actually have the power to be able to make a difference about. And then set accountability, whatever way that works best for you. It could be something personal. Maybe you write in a journal. Maybe you're putting something up on the wall. It could be really public. Sometimes people do better with like public accountability, where you're like putting it out there on social media that you're going to do such and such. And then you feel a certain way about making sure that you get that done. Whatever the accountability is, it could be a partner. I know Christine has some tips in her book about accountability, using Chat GPT for accountability as a buddy. So I know there's many different tools that we can use for accountability, whether they are something that's visual, a person. So figure out how you're going to set that accountability for your goals, and then prioritize and balance them. We all want to do a million things, but we can't do a million things well at the same time. So prioritize what it is that you want to do. Make sure you're balancing all the things that you do need to do with moving forward with your goals. Believe you can achieve your goals. I mean, this is huge. And this is something like I never thought of. So like some of these steps in here are from my business background, like making them specific and attainable and accountability and all that other stuff. But having a business background, I never learned about belief. I mean, that was huge, something I've just learned through some of the speakers that are going to speak here this evening about the power of believing you can actually achieve your goals. If you're putting negative beliefs out there and saying you can't get it done before you even start, you're not going to be able to accomplish it because you're not believing that you can achieve it. And then enjoy the journey while you're doing it. Life is a journey, not a destination. It's a thing we've all said a million times. And a lot of the things we're going to do for our goals might be difficult. They might be out of our normal wheelhouse, like working out or different things like that. but we have to make it enjoyable. So, for example, if I'm trying to do some more exercise this year, I'm not going to pick bench pressing because I have absolutely no interest in trying to bench press. But I love dancing. So, I'm going to try to do some of my workouts via dancing. Make sure you're having fun and enjoying this whole process. So once you have those goals, you're ready to start working on them. And that includes incorporating whatever tools you need. There are many methods like vision boards, apps, alarms, affirmations, manifesting, chat GPT, which I've learned recently as a tool for helping you with goals, self-hypnosis, meditation. And another important point to consider is defining success. So in my book, I talk about redefining success to be about effort, not material results. And I think that's really important. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals, but it means you're successful when you're trying. So you're successful when you've made that goal and that you take steps to achieve that goal, whatever they are. So our first speaker this evening is Opal Amalbert, a new member of the Networks. Opal is a professional organizer, and she is based in Westchester, New York. And she's the founder of Organizing with Opal, a professional home organizing service. She's honored to be welcomed into clients' homes and trusted with their most personal spaces. And for her, organizing isn't just about making things look nice, it's about helping her clients feel calm, confident, and in control of their environment. Opal?
Hi, thank you. Yes, my name is Opal and I am a home organizer. I started a home organizing business because I myself love to organize and I met a lot of people that needed help organizing in their space. And in relation to goal setting, when people think about goals, they think about motivation and discipline or willpower. But as an organizer, I see that goals don't fail because people don't want them. They just fail because they don't have the space for it. So usually their space is really cluttered or just really disorganized. They don't have a system in place. And that's where I come in and help them create that system and create order in their clutter. So physical clutter, mental clutter, and time clutter will all compete with your goals. So, three ways that this will happen and that these three things will block your goals. The first one is it delays decisions. When you have too much out, that there's too much clutter, or you don't have a system in place, every time you need to make a decision, you can't because now you're deciding on how do I organize this space so that I can actually work in this space. So instead of working on the goal, you're working on organizing. So, an example that I get a lot now with my clients is with papers. So let's say maybe your goal is to be more organized with your money. So, usually that involves bills, important documents, uh, medical things, etc. And you just keep piling it up and piling it up and piling it up on your desk. So when you go to work on your finances, you can't because you don't even know where to start because you don't have a system in place. So all this energy that is being spent towards, oh my God, my desk is a mess. Everything is so disorganized. I have such a mess everywhere. All that energy is putting that being put out to the wrong area. It's not going towards the goal or the habit or the routine or even the creativity that you can have doing something like your money goals. So, because like was mentioned before, you do want to make whatever your goal is fun and exciting for you so that you can continue working on it. So, this clutter or this disorganization leads into number two. It steals your attention from your goals. So, when your space is chaotic, your goals don't really stand a chance. You're constantly reacting instead of choosing what steps you're going to take next. So, another example could be if you do want to start working out and now you need your gym outfit, but you can't find your gym outfit because you didn't put your laundry away. So now you're throwing all the clothes around trying to find the gym outfit so you can get to the gym on time and work on being healthy and fit. And so, again, this clutter that you have is stealing time and attention and energy from just going into a drawer because you made a designated spot for these items, your gym attire, your pajamas, your t-shirts, etc. And it's taking away that time and energy. I have clients tell me this all the time, that all their time gets spent looking for something or even their money because they couldn't find it, and they go ahead and they buy something else instead. So having a system in place for the clutter or the disorganization allows you to spend this attention more on your goals versus the mess. So what happens, this is focus. Again, it's kind of the same thing. The focus is now on your mess. And so I always have clients look at what's going on and see what is currently working for them, because sometimes a lot of people are organized and life just got in the way. And because life got in the way, now they're overwhelmed. And it's more the overwhelmed as to why people usually hire me to help them get organized. And we just create a system for where they are currently in their life. Everybody goes through phases during their life. Usually you just got out of school, you just started a new career, you just retired, um, you started a new, I don't know, whatever, workout routine and whatever it is. And so now your home needs to reflect the life that you have currently going on. And so everybody's home is going to be different. And so we're going to work with the space that you have to make it clean and organized. Sometimes there's things that just take up space, not only just physically, but also mentally. Seeing that item or items there over time, we don't realize how much mental space it also takes up, not just physically. So once I offer donation drop off for my clients, when I take those items out, they feel such a sense of relief and their mind just clears. They just feel so much better mentally and as well as in their environment. And they're so happy that everything got taken out. And after our services are done, or my service is done, it's just me actually. Um, they're so relieved. And I can actually see it in their face and in their energy, how excited they are to have everything that wasn't serving them taken out of their space and having an actual system now. And now they're able to possibly pursue hobbies that they let go because they just couldn't focus on their hobbies because of the clutter and the space. And because we came with the system, they're able to put everything out for their hobby, whatever it may be, and then they know exactly where to put it away. So now their time and their energy is being utilized the correct way and not in frustration or freeze. So, when you're organizing your goals, one thing you want to do is you want to have systems that support you. You don't want to have systems that you hear that are just another extra thing. You want it to support the life that you currently have, and that's going to be fun so that you can achieve your goals. So, something you could think of is just think of one goal and think, what's one thing I can remove, reduce, or simplify that's going to support it? Some examples could be cleaning out one drawer, maybe starting separating your paper pile that you have, your mail, categorizing it between your medical or your bills, house expenses, etc. And just do baby steps. Slow progress is better than no progress. Maybe you want to get off the phone. I'm just looking at it right now. Delete any apps that you don't need anymore that are just taking up space, or even on your computer, because electronic storage, electronic clutter is just as important as physical clutter. Maybe you're going to use a calendar or things like that, and just time blocking. Time is also an important organization thing that people don't really think about. So maybe you want to use a calendar to organize your time. And sometimes just letting go of obligations, not even just physical things, can help you reach your goals in an organized way. So organizing isn't just about having less in your home, but it's making space for what actually matters for you. So if you want your 2026 goals to stick, don't just set them and write them down, but you have the tools around you to make it fun and it's going to support you. So I see little messages in the bottom. And I think that's it. Is there a question or did I just get distracted?
Sorry,
The
no questions.
electronic
I was just
clutter.
agreeing.
Oh, what's it?
I said there was no question. I was just agreeing with you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very much aligned with everything that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Any questions or anything? No? Okay.
I just want to say I completely agree with you in terms of the organization. Like, it doesn't have to be so big, right? It doesn't have to be like you throwing out furniture or,
Mm-hmm.
um, changing your complete address. But something as simple as cleaning out my drawer today gave me such a sense of relief. And
Mm-hmm.
it was incredible because I didn't think that something so small would have such a big impact.
Mm-hmm. It does. It feels so good. It's I have clients after we're working in a space for a while, and I would recommend this for you too. If you're getting overwhelmed or you just feel like you didn't do enough, walk away from the space and then come back in. The energy shift is you can only feel it because when you're in it, you don't really notice it. But when I have clients walk out and then come back in, they're like, "Oh yeah." Like they were so stressed the whole time because they've just been sitting in that for so long that once they step away and come back, they realize like, oh, okay, yeah, this does feel really good. Oh my God, we did do so much because it's like all that weight got taken off of them, not just physically, but almost like off their shoulders. So I would suggest that while you're organizing your spaces, so you can feel that pride and keep going.
I
Okay.
think a lot of what you said is hugely important too, in terms of if you're setting a goal and you have blockages before you get to the goal, it can also be like discouraging. So I think that's part of the making your goals attainable. So if you're like, for example, we were talking about increasing like strength training this year. So my goal can't be necessarily strength train 5 times this week if I haven't set up the thing to be able to do the strength training with.
Right.
So the goal first could be set up the strength training, whatever. So then you're able to successfully attain that next step of the goal. Otherwise, then you start to get discouraged because you're like, oh, I can't even do it because I didn't set this thing up yet.
Right.
So I think that's a really, really good point is making sure that you are taking care of like the setup steps so that you're able to actually do whatever the goal is, whether that's clearing space. I think that was
Right.
huge. I see Carol has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. When I started my businesses after I left my corporate job, I hired an organizer, and she walked into my office and saw 3 inches of stuff on my desk, and she recommended color folders. And that was over 3 decades ago, and I continued to use them.
Yeah.
So, I pick colors that are meaningful, put with my brother label, put a label on them,
Mm-hmm.
and then file things. So when it's time to do taxes, it may be chaotic, but at least all the medical records are in one folder, and the household expenses or the car repairs are in a different folder. And that has saved my life because I am not an organized person by nature. I start too many things at the same time.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that like once you set up systems, they just keep working for you. And so it's like even though it's a very slow process in our house with a lot of the stuff, like once I've set up one system, then that flows smoothly and then like it just keeps working for you. So definitely like like you said, you find a system that works for you, and then it makes that so much easier.
And I will say, something that helps also if you get overwhelmed and there's too many things going on at once is setting a timer and saying, I'm dedicating 15 minutes on this one thing and set the timer, and anything that comes up, oh, this doesn't belong here, it belongs in another room. Okay, just put it to the side. When you're done, either you're done or that timer goes off, then you decide what happens next. But don't start going into other rooms and putting other things away, because then you're just adding more and more projects. So you could just have a little bin, and at the end you could put it where it belongs, but try and stay focused on that one task at a time.
Opal, sometimes I really think you're watching me. Opal, please make sure you're dropping your contact info in the chat so people know how to get a hold of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so our next speaker this evening is Priscilla Keresey. Priscilla is recognized throughout the country as one of the most accurate, compassionate, and sought-after psychic mediums. In addition to bringing the physical and spiritual worlds together for individuals and groups, Priscilla coordinates local psychic fairs, appears on radio and television programs, and acts as a guest minister and a medium for local spiritualist churches. She's the author of multiple books. She's a podcast host. I do put the podcast links in our newsletter, so please make sure that if you're getting the newsletter, you check those out. And she's also certified by the National Guild of Hypnotists as an advanced clinical hypnotist. Priscilla?
Thank you. And thank you, Cheryl, for inviting me back. I love being part of the networks, and Brittany too. And so thanks so much. And Opal, I think your presentation was just great. It really, as you were talking, I'm looking at my own desk and going, this could benefit, because you're right. I think for me, might even be a little bit of self-sabotage. Well, if I clean this up, then I'm going to have to get to the business of doing what I have to do. And so, like Cheryl, you were saying, make sure those goals are something that you're motivated to do for yourself. Because if you're doing something for somebody else, that pile of clutter is just going to stay in front of it if you don't feel connected to it and resonate with it. So I've kind of got my hypnosis power of the mind hat on for tonight. And I want to talk specifically about setting goals, because your mind, being of one mind, is the best tool at your disposal. So we're going to talk about the conscious mind and how we concentrate with that, and the unconscious mind and how we imagine with that, and that these two parts of the mind don't speak to each other very well. So our conscious minds, really briefly, this isn't the time, we have the time or bandwidth to go into a deep dive on this, but very briefly, our conscious minds deal with input from our five senses, what we experience in the world around us, in the environment around us, and naturally put those experiences into categories. So our mind wants to make sure that everything fits into something that we recognize that's orderly. This is one of the reasons we have something called confirmation bias. We have certain expectations. We look for certain things. Those are the things we see more of. They reinforce our thoughts about things. So that's the conscious mind. Again, very briefly, it's a lot more than that, but for the purpose of our discussion, think about this mind being the five senses mind, the very grounded, the objective world. What you can see, other people can see. What you can hear, other people can hear. So it's not so much an internal experience, even though it's cerebral, very much logic-based, analytical, rational. And this part of the mind likes things to make sense, as I said. That's the conscious mind. The unconscious mind is a hot mess. It is your memories, your traumas, your fantasies, your wishful thinking, your dreams, your habits. Much of the way your body functions is programmed in the subconscious mind. Our beliefs about everything in the world, including ourselves, so therefore our self-esteem, our beliefs about what we can do, what we are allowed to do, what we should do as women, as men, of people of a certain color, or people of a certain economic class or a certain educational class. So those are all sort of deeply embedded in the subconscious mind. And in the subconscious mind, we also have our sixth sense, which deals with not the five senses, but the non-rational sixth sense. That's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about it one time maybe. And our imagination. And it's very easy for our rational thinking minds to dismiss the non-rational, to dismiss our imagination, our hopes for ourselves in the form of goals, our dreams for ourselves, because there's no objective evidence of it immediately. So if we have a goal for ourselves, or we have we do some strategic logical thinking, like I'm going to stop drinking this year and do, and make better choices with food, right? So my logical mind is saying this is what I'm going to do. My unconscious, non-logical mind may have a whole different idea about what that means. If alcohol has been, even if I'm not an alcoholic, if alcohol has been my companion when I've been celebrating, my friend when I've been grieving, or my feelings are hurt, the unconscious mind finds those things that keep us safe and likes to hang on to them. Now, if we want to make a change, we need to use the strategic thinking mind, the goal setting mind, and we have to ask it to allow the non-rational stuff to come in. We have to pay attention to those motivations, as Cheryl mentioned. Make sure we're doing it for ourselves, not because we're trying to prove our ex wrong or make our mother happy. We're doing it for our own motivation. And we have to know what those are. So we have to know ourselves a little bit. We have to believe in ourselves at least a little bit. And we have to believe that we can. But remember, that's all soft. It's subjective. It's not objective. Nobody else can experience that. Nobody can experience my dreams or my memories. I can share them with you, but my experience of them is uniquely subjective. I can be outside in the world and say, hey, look at that red car, and you can look at it with me and we'll both see the same thing. We might have different perceptions or reactions to it, but we're looking at the same thing. That's what I mean, the difference between an objective experience and a subjective one. And if we want our goals, the things that we imagine for ourselves, I want to get this out of my life. We have to take this idea, which is in the subconscious mind, this desire, this motivation, hopefully an authentic one. We've got to get our conscious minds to accept it, to pay attention to it, and to employ it, and not just go, you're making that up, right? Anytime we've said to ourselves, oh, I could go for that. No, you can't. You're making it up. Or I think I just had an experience that was, supernatural. I think I had an ESP experience. No, you're not. You're making that up. And these are inner dialogues that we have all the time. And that is a sign that your mind is working perfectly. So we have these two very powerful, equally important aspects of the mind that really, between them, cover everything we could possibly experience through our conscious awareness. They just don't talk to each other very well. So if you can imagine a position of using your ability to concentrate, to focus, to design, to create a strategy, and your imagination, which is the feeling, like I'll stick with my example of, let's say in 2026, I just want to quit drinking. So I have this idea in my mind, and then I go into my imagination and I imagine what that would be like. Maybe I'll lose some weight. Maybe I'll just feel free. Maybe I'll feel more clear-headed. Maybe it's just some sort of other important marker for me, because it will mean that I've really exercised some real agency and some real control over some of my other instincts, let's say. So whatever your motivation may be, getting these two eyes on the same prize is the ticket to getting those goals done. So we've talked about what the conscious mind does. We've talked what's in it. We've talked about the unconscious mind. And when we can get the two of them to respect one another and work with one another, like I'm talking like they're two different people, but these two different ideas in our minds, we can really be unstoppable. So we have to begin to teach ourselves to accept that what's non-rational, what comes from our imagination or our idea for ourselves or a desire that we have, that it's as valid it's as valid for taking up space in the objective world as that red car is. So I want to just show you guys what I'm talking about in a real visceral sort of practical way. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. If you don't want to, you can watch and you can try it at home later. I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes and imagine something just for a moment. Your personality is not going to change. You're not going to get stuck, anything like this. But I'd like you to close your eyes for just a moment if you feel like it. And just imagine, if you will, that your eyelids are so relaxed. Imagine you're in the deepest, most blissful sleep of your life, and your eyelids are so relaxed. Oh, that even if you tried to open them, it would feel impossible. They would just feel so heavy. So imagine like a little kid might, oh my gosh, I can't open my eyes. I feel so wonderful. And when you're able to imagine that, really like just embrace that silliness for a moment. My eyelids are so relaxed, I can't even lift them up and open them. When you can convince yourself of that and imagine that, go ahead and try. You might find your eyebrows lifting up, but as you're imagining, oh, I'm so relaxed and peaceful, trying to open your eyes and give them a good strong pull. Try really, really hard. And now just relax and you can open your eyes. Just open them regular now. So if you were unable to open your eyes at that moment, if you played along with that, let me put it this way, that is, first of all, it's a sign of being in hypnosis, and I'll tell you what that is in a second. But what it's a sign of is unifying the conscious mind that says, this is what I'm going to think about. I'm going to give this my full concentration, and the unconscious imagination that says, this is what I imagine I'm doing. And when you put these two together, your body has to do it. There's no delay. So if I were to say to myself, and by the way, this is not anything that could ever get stuck. We can never force a state of being on somebody. If you've heard hypnosis or watched the movies and it's like all this woogity woogity stuff where you just lose control and someone else can drop a word and then you're forever after, kind of zombified whenever you hear it. Untrue. Because if you noticed in that exercise, you had to pay attention. You were listening to everything that I was saying. You were concentrating on it, while allowing your imagination to say, sure, this sounds fun, let's give it a try. And when those two meet, when you become of one mind, you are unstoppable. And I had hypnosis probably 30 years ago now. I had an eating disorder. I was bulimic. I tried everything for 12 years. And I knew I was killing myself. And it's an addictive sort of thing. Nobody really knows, I think, how they start, but they're difficult to talk yourself out of. I had hypnosis and one session with hypnosis, and I was cured, completely cured. And because of that, in my early 30s, I became a hypnotist. And I've applied self-hypnosis to everything. And when I tell you I live a stress-free life, I live an entirely stress-free life because I use my mind, which is the most powerful tool in the universe, my subjective universe, my creative universe, the only universe that really matters because it's the one that I create and I perceive and I react to. Of course, the big world matters, hunger matters, human rights matter. I'm talking about in creating my life for myself. So I encourage you, to Google self-hypnosis. It's all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and all it really is deciding I am going to believe in this suggestion. So it's self-suggestion, unless you're going to a hypnotist who gives you suggestions. But again, you're going to have to agree to them. You're going to have to, go along with them. So when you are able to imagine, pretend, make believe enough with enough concentration and force, especially with something in your physical person or in your habits or in your attitudes about anything from money to romance to career, you are combining an unstoppable force. So the power of positive thinking is no joke because whatever you focus on expands. And when you use your conscious mind and you train it to collect and amass and focus on and notice the positives, when you do that deliberately, even without using self-hypnosis, let's say, for a specific goal, but when you decide, I am going to notice the positive things, I'm going to notice the successes, Cheryl mentioned, even if that just means getting out of bed in the morning, you notice those successes, you begin to train yourself, your conscious mind, to do what it's very good at, which is categorizing stuff. Oh, this is a success, I'll put that over here. Oh, that's tastes a little bit like a success, I'll put that over here. And we begin to unwittingly amass a body of evidence that we're successful. So oh, hi, Kitty. My cat has something to say about this. Whatever we can turn our thoughts to with deliberation and intention. And combine our not just our strategic concentration thinking, but our imagination so that we feel the feelings of it as well, everything is possible. You may have trouble, I think Cheryl touched on this a little bit too. You may have trouble knowing what it is you want. That's okay. A lot of us have been in defensive mode for a long time. If you're struggling in the economy or you've got, issues, in your home or family dynamics, or you're in a toxic workplace, many of us are just, we've got we're in a defensive posture, and it can be like, how can I can't spend time daydreaming about what I'd like. That's a fool's errand. Again, the dismissal, right? Or it's a waste of time, a dismissal, or stop daydreaming. We're taught to dismiss this loose, fantastic stuff that is so nurturing for our soul and guides our strategies as well. So if you don't know what you want, think about what you don't want. First, write that list now. I don't want to commute to a job that I'm working 60 hours a week for, and I'm only getting paid for 40. I don't want to be drinking wine every night. I don't want to be fighting with my spouse all the time. I don't, whatever that might be, get it all out. And then I recommend, if there are big things, focusing on one at a time, but at least in the list, you can flip the script a little bit and say, okay, I know I don't want to be in this kind of a work situation anymore. What do I do want? Because remember, we have to focus on and imagine simultaneously, concentrate and imagine simultaneously on what we want, what we desire. So if I'm in a job and I don't, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I don't want to do that. So you just can change the feeling. You can write down the feeling. Our minds are just extraordinary, right? Because already my mind's going, yeah, but people are going to wonder if they don't have an idea, what are they going to look at? And my own mind starts to dismiss, and we just have to go, pipe down. But if you can focus on the feeling or imagine what it would feel like to be participating in some meaningful work. Or if the paycheck is more important, imagine having money left over once the paycheck hits and you pay the bills. So you can be as specific or as loosey-goosey with the imagination as you like, as long as the feeling is in there. So Cheryl, once again, she said, we have to be specific. We can't just say, I want to be the best salesperson. That's not a number. It's not necessarily attainable if you've got no frame of reference. So you could be specific, and I'll continue with the example of drinking wine. Let's say, I know I don't want to drink wine, but what do I want instead? I'm thinking like, well, what am I going to drink at parties? I'll miss happy hour with my friends, or, these sorts of things. So that's my list of what I don't want. I'm going to switch that to what I do want. I want to wake up in the morning feeling bright and clear and ready to rock, ready to go to the gym. I want to really enjoy some of these really fancy mocktails that are coming out. I'm going to try some of these new non-alcoholic IPA beers, and I'm really going to find them just as refreshing. So you can be specific like that, or you can just focus on the feeling. I would feel proud of myself. I am proud of myself because I can say no to that. I can take it or leave it. I'm one of those people that can take it or leave it. And even if it's such a simple thing as this, imagining that and concentrating on that anytime you think about it, or anytime you talk to yourself, or specifically for 3 to 5 minutes every single day, sitting down and concentrating. So it's okay if you don't have the exact picture of what you do want. I'm pretty sure you know what you don't want. So list those, see if you can flip the script into something positive, because remember, we're not going to, the mind doesn't hear the negation. So if you're focusing on like, I'm not drinking wine, or I hate wine, the mind doesn't really hear the nuances. It hears more of the subject of the sentence. So I'm going to be like wine, 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 wine to myself every time I repeat that to myself. So we want to focus on the opposite. You can say something if you want to be specific, like after one glass of wine, everything else tastes like bleach, or it takes me an hour to drink half a glass of wine and then I'm not interested. So you can put that word in there, but make sure you focus it on what you desire and get in the feeling of that. And one last thing I'll tell you about, and that's called self-hypnosis, just doing that. So you don't have to go into a deep trance. You don't have to, hold up the watch and bore yourself to death. It's a matter of combining your concentration with your logical, rational, conscious mind and your imagination and your unconscious mind and getting them on the same page, even for 3 minutes. And 3 minutes every day is better than saving it all up and doing it for 2 hours on a Saturday, because repetition, 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 repetition is what helps really drill those ideas in and make them feel natural for the conscious mind. Oh, this goes here. Oh, happy hour with friends means a delicious mocktail. That goes there. Waking up on Saturday morning, getting to the gym, I feel fantastic. It's just chug a big glass of water, a cup of coffee, and I feel fantastic. So we have to accumulate those experiences, or the imagination of those experiences, because that's just as powerful. So don't stop. Begin to acknowledge every positive thing, and you'll notice that you're just creating more and more. I'm going to put a tail end on this and make of it what you will. The last thing I would ponder, because the tool of your mind and your imagination, as I said, are just breathtaking in their scope. And as you work on unifying these two minds and proving to yourself, living the evidence of, holy cow, that stuff works, start thinking also that your consciousness is unified with the source of all life, providence, God, source, whatever you might want to call it. Because that, when you realize I'm of one mind, and behind me, I have this unlimited power for good. And if you decide, it's not, absolutely certain that you do, but if you are a person who has a spiritual side and you want to include the unity of spirit in there, then you're really, all bets are off. You're achieving your goals, and you're probably even going to define your goals a little bit differently as well, with that sort of motivation behind you. So if you're a person who prays or meditates, in addition to whatever positive goal you're stating for yourself, toss this in if you're of that spiritual nature. I also recognize my absolute unity with God, or it can even be my higher self, my wiser self, with the source of all life. And that will really empower you not only to reveal to yourself, what is it I really want? I spent years in my younger years preparing to be a vet because my parents thought I really loved animals. They thought you'd be a great vet. In my heart, I was like, oh, I love animals. I don't want to see them hurt. I couldn't do it. And so I shifted over to, oh, you're a really good artist. You should do art restoration. So I went into the Metropolitan Museum of Art restoration programs after my art history degree. I was like, these people are so snobby. I hate this, and it was, both of those are wonderful and unique careers, but they weren't me. And as I began to permit myself to identify what my desires were and what my goals were, not to make anybody else happy, not to make anybody else proud, your ability to achieve those goals is going to be, the obstacle level will be much, much lower if it's something that you personally are going after. And I'll close with this. I remember somebody telling me about this quite a while ago, and it just recurred to me a couple of days ago. If we are wondering about what a goal is, we can ask ourselves the word why 3 times. Like, okay, I want to make more money. Why? Well, more money will allow me to take more vacations. Why do I want to take more vacations? Because I love the feeling of being free. Why do I love the feeling of being free? Because I feel safe. So getting down to the very root of what might be behind our desires can sometimes cast it in a different light, or at least in a light that we can really be more specific about. Like, I want to be rich to I want to be free, and that might mean something different. It might still involve money and prosperity, but it might allow you to shape a very specific goal, and which will be that much more attainable. So I'll step back now. I don't know why if I look really blurry to you guys, I'm not sure. I just noticed that. I'm not quite sure why that happened. That's a little better now. I should have checked my camera. So sorry, you had to look at me blurry.
We had one question in the chat. Is intuition our sixth sense?
Yes, it is. And and ignore it at your peril. And I'll tell you why, because your sixth sense will never lie to you. Your sixth sense is connected with that life force, that spirit, if you will, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different names. I don't want to attach any religion to it. I'm not attached to a religion. But it's a powerful field of information that is neutral. And we can access that, we can learn from it, we can benefit from it. And the wonderful thing about the sixth sense is there's no time there. So that's why we can look at how will something play out in the future, or the origins of something in the past. And there's no location there either. So we can think about somebody, my sister in Texas, what's she doing now if I want to do some remote viewing and tune into her? So yes, your intuition, because it's part of the life force, will never lead you astray. Your thinking mind may. Your thinking mind may say, you can't quit drinking. Your whole family's alcoholics. How are you going to feel better? Maybe you can do one night a week, whatever, of wine. But, so the logical mind may feel very, very certain that you can or cannot meet your goal. Your emotional mind may also be very certain that you can or can't meet your goals. But neither of these two are necessarily the truth. It might not be the truth that, alcoholism is genetic. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's not necessarily true for you. And emotionally, you might feel like I tried to quit drinking before and I failed, so I'm going to fail again, so why bother? That's not the truth either. It may be the truth of your perception of your experience in the past, but it does not have to be the truth now. But your intuition, if you feel the idea, I'm going to cut down on my drinking, there's truth in that. Because your life force, your intuition, is always life affirming and evolving and creating and perpetuating itself. It is never destructive. Those other two channels of information, the mental strategic one and the emotional unconscious or imaginative one may, but your intuition will never lead you astray.
Thanks, Priscilla. And I see Carol has her hand up.
Come here, Kat.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a cat like that. Always wanted the center of attention. You talked about hypnosis helping eating disorders.
Mm-hmm.
In my book, one of the chapters is about eating disorders, and I'm expanding the content, sort of a behind the curtain of what was in the book, because the book was very small. Do you regularly work with people with eating disorders via hypnosis?
I used to. I don't do as much hypnosis as I used to. Just the call from clients has been more for psychic mediumship. I still do, but not in the volume I did back in the day.
Because I'm looking for resources to include.
I would recommend checking out the National Guild of Hypnotists, ngh.org. I would recommend that to anybody, ngh.org. They have a directory. I am still certified with them, but I don't practice as much. And really, there are new techniques coming up all the time. So I would say, Carol, you would probably want someone a little bit more up to date on some of the things now. And NGH is the longest running guild for hypnotists anywhere in the world. And while there isn't a licensure for it or any sort of board exam to pass, it is generally very well respected because it's been around since I think the early 50s.
Okay, great. Thank you.
In this country, it's great. Yep. And they have a directory by state too. So if you're looking for a hypnotist or directory by, qualification, like if you want to quit smoking or you want to lose weight or sports performance or whatever those, I think they also have a directory like that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hey, Carol, I have a contact who's a hypnotist if you want. I can connect you to.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
And I see Brittany has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Priscilla has helped me a lot with learning to recognize my intuition and stuff. And I just wanted to share one of the things that I do just to randomly to practice your intuition is when you get that random thought of a person or something, or oh, maybe I'll text them. A lot of times we just we'll brush it away. But I've learned I've gotten random feelings or been oh, I need to check in on Alyssa. And then Alyssa will be oh my God, I was just texting you. Or yeah, actually I do need to talk or something. I've found that happens a lot. If you just go and you see that little tiny flag and you just
Mhm.
follow it, it's amazing what happens sometimes.
And I think you're absolutely right, Brittany, because those little things, they nag at you. And that is one of the signs that you're having sixth sense information. Your sixth sense is trying to get your attention. And remember, it's all neutral. A lot of people are like, I don't want to know from my sixth sense because I don't want to see dead people, or I don't want to know when bridges are going to fall in. It's not necessarily, sometimes the alarming stuff does break through because it is so alarming. But usually it's just a constant feed of neutral information, and what we do with it, especially if we follow up on it, even the little things, the little nudges like that, we just expand our own inner vocabulary. And so I'm glad you do that, Brittany, because it's delightful to be validated over and over and over again. Yeah, I was just thinking of you, or that just I have to tell you this because it's so funny. I have a good friend, and she's also a psychic, and I was telling her about a client I used to have some time ago who had come a little bit too, as psychics, we don't want to be too involved in people's lives, right? And when your client is like, should I go to this party, or is this I just had a first date, is he the one, should I continue with it? You never want to rob people of their decision making power, right? And there are some people who get a little bit too hooked on it, and you have to kind of step back and say, I'm not helping anymore, or I keep giving you the same information, you don't want to hear it, I'm not going to let you keep paying me to get the same impressions from me. And so I was telling my colleague about this particular client, and then she started telling me about a client she had like yesterday on the phone, and she's describing him, and I'm like, that's this woman's husband. Because I knew I'd seen her so often. I knew, and she was like, I wasn't going to tell you this story, but the whole time we've been talking on the phone, I keep saying, I got to tell Priscilla about this client I had. I got to tell the Priscilla. And so, it was just, I mean, nothing comes of it except delight, right? It's like, oh, that's so cool. But it will nag at you. And if you pay attention to it, you become more and more familiar with like, oh, that's a signal for me to follow up on something. So I recommend you do it all the time because it's just fun.
Thanks so much, Priscilla. Please put your contact info into the chat so that everybody can make sure they can get in touch with you.
I will. I'll do so now. As my cat stops wrecking my antique. Hold on. Myself here.
All right, and our next speaker for this evening is Joel Salomon. Joel is a prosperity coach, international speaker, former hedge fund manager who helps people rewrite their money stories and achieve true financial freedom. Known as the Money Doctor, Joel blends Wall Street wisdom with the laws of attraction to help his clients break through limiting beliefs and manifest abundance with ease and joy. He's the author of 3 best-selling books, each showing readers how mindset and money flow together. As an award-winning TEDx speaker and frequent podcast guest, his message of overcoming fear and embracing abundance has reached thousands across the US, Europe, and beyond. Joel?
Thank you, Cheryl. And Priscilla, I really loved your presentation. I loved your focus on feeling. Wayne Dyer said, make your future dream a present reality by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So I use that when I talk about visualization. And of course, you said the power of positive thinking is no joke, which I loved as well. And you can't dream about, what did you say? I can't dream about what we want. If someone has that, that's a limiting belief, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, I'd love to make this interactive. So I know almost all of you are off camera, but I'd love to see some more pretty faces like Patricia. I don't want to call anyone out, but I know Patricia, I know Erica, I know some others, but love to see you guys' faces. If you feel called to, it'd be great to see more faces here. Appreciate you guys being here, and maybe you could just put in the chat where you guys are from. I know most of you are probably from New York, but if there's anyone outside New York, love to hear that as well. So put in the chat where you're from, so get a sense. I don't know George or maybe a few others, but you may be in New York as well. Great. So we got Yonkers, Putnam Valley, Yorktown, the Bronx. Shrub oak, South Salem. Okay, great. I've stood on the top of Machu Picchu at sunrise, watching ancient clouds drift between sacred peaks. Last year, I took my daughter Lauren back to Switzerland, where I lived in 99 and 2000, where we were literally looking at mountains that take your breath away, and not just because of the altitude. I gazed up at the Pyramid of Giza a few years ago, wondering how the heck did they move those massive stones without a single crane or complaint from a union worker. But here's the thing, and this might surprise you. I didn't get those experiences by working hard, grinding harder, or following some financial guru's 10 steps to financial freedom. I got them by chasing freedom first. Priscilla mentioned this a little bit, right? So let me say that again. I got them by chasing freedom first. And I got them by doing something that most people think is impossible. I got them by making prosperity easy. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, okay, this is just another get-rich-quick scheme, hear me out, because what I'm about to tell you flies in the face of everything you've been taught about money. See, most people are running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. They're working harder, they got to save more, sacrifice everything, and then just maybe you'll have enough money to buy that freedom. But that's like driving in California with your parking brake on, burning a lot of fuel, making a lot of noise, and going nowhere fast. And here's the thing, what I discovered after doing it the hard way. Prosperity is easy. Your mind has made it hard. Okay, let me say it again for those in the back. Prosperity is easy. Your mind has made it hard. Your mind has convinced you that money's scarce, that you have to struggle for it, that rich people are somehow different from you, or luckier, or had some advantage that you don't have. Your mind has created invisible barriers between you and the abundance that's literally everywhere around us. It's like having a Ferrari in your garage, but insisting on walking everywhere because someone once told you that cars are for special people. The truth is, you already have everything you need to become financially free. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is a software update in your head. Now, I know you're sitting there wondering, Joel, so how did you get all those experiences? I'm over here working my butt off, can barely afford a vacation to the Jersey Shore, let alone Switzerland. And I get it. Look, I really do. I understand exactly where you are right now. You're working harder probably than you've ever worked before, putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week maybe. You're trying to save every penny, clip coupons, shop those sales, doing everything you've been told to do, and yet you're feeling exhausted, feeling frustrated because nothing seems to be working. The harder you work, the farther you fall behind. It's like you're running on a treadmill that's speeding up and you're not getting anywhere. And some of you in this room are spiritual entrepreneurs, Reiki masters, life coaches, yoga teachers, hypnotists, energy healers. You got into this work because you wanted to help people. You wanted to make a difference in the world. But here's what's running through your head. Good people aren't supposed to care about money. If I'm spiritual, I should be happy with just enough to get by. Charging more than $50 an hour, that's just greedy. Sound familiar? Anybody? Or maybe you heard this growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees, which, by the way, is technically wrong because money is paper, and paper does come from trees, but I digress. Or maybe you heard rich people are evil. You can't be wealthy and be a good person. It's only the corrupt ones who make it really big. Or my favorite, you have to work really, really hard to be rich and successful. These aren't just random thoughts running through your brain. These are generational beliefs that have been passed down from your great-grandparents to your grandparents to your parents to you. It's like getting handed a broken roadmap and being told, this is the only way to get there. And every single day, these thoughts are running through your head on repeat. Maybe put some of them in the chat. This is what I've heard. That's too expensive. I can't afford that. Anybody hear that growing up? You know, if I left the light on in my room, you know what my dad would say? Joel, we're not a shareholder of Long Island Lighting Company. Shut that light off. Or maybe you heard money's the root of all evil. I'm not good with money. Rich people are different from me. So what we got? Oh yeah, Brittany, you think I own the electric company? That's good. Yeah. Similar, right? Yes. Definitely we got to stop that, right? So these are basically thoughts and beliefs of scarcity and lack. And here's what's going on. And I'm sorry if this stings a little bit, but the reason you're stuck isn't because you're not working hard enough. The reason you're broke isn't because you don't have the right strategy or because you haven't found a good business opportunity. The reason you're frustrated and feeling like you're spinning your wheels is because everything you've been taught about money is wrong. You've been programmed to believe that struggle is noble, that if it's not hard, it's not worth it, that abundance is for other people, people who are luckier, smarter, or somehow more deserving than you. And the craziest part is that you're living on a planet that's literally bursting with abundance. There are more opportunities, more resources, more ways to create wealth today than any other time in history. But you can't see it because you're wearing these invisible blinders that have been installed by people who meant well, but didn't know any better. So you keep on doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, and getting the same results and wondering why things haven't changed. But here's the good news, and I mean really good news. Everything I just described, it's fixable. It's fixable and fixable faster than you think. See, I've spent the last 8 years helping people just like all of you break through these invisible beliefs. I've worked with Reiki masters who were literally charging $20 an hour and thought that if they charged more, that was being greedy. I worked with yoga teachers who believed that spirituality and their bank account was mutually exclusive. And here's what I've learned after working with all these kinds of people. The reason you're stuck isn't because you lack talent or because you don't work hard enough, because the market's saturated. You're stuck because you're trying to build wealth with broken blueprints. What I do is simple. I upgrade your money software. I take those limiting beliefs that are running in the background like malware, and I replace them with empowering beliefs that actually serve you. And then, and this is the part that most people miss, I give you practical strategies to turn those new beliefs into cold hard cash. Because here's the thing that drives me crazy. Anyone ever read the book The Secret? Put in the chat The Secret if you have. Okay, I'm looking at some of you, and you probably read it more than once and thought, great, I'll just visualize my way to millions. Because I don't know any billionaires who just sit at home and meditate and visualize all day. But I will also tell you, I don't know any truly wealthy people who are grinding it out 18 hours a day and feel miserable, stressed out, and ready to collapse. Because the magic happens when you combine a right mindset and a right strategy. So you came here to learn something today, right? Something that's going to make a difference in your life. So let's start with my first big concept. Your beliefs about your money situation create your situation. It's true. Beliefs, those little thoughts that you have about what you can and can't do with your money, they're literally running your financial reality. They're creating it. And here's the problem. Most people they think they need a magic trick or a guru or a secret formula to make it happen. Nope. You have it all within you. It starts with what you believe is possible for you. And if you don't believe you can get rich or grow your business or hit your financial goals, you won't, plain and simple. So let me give you an example. And to be clear, I'm not recommending you buy Bitcoin. It's November 24, 2017. And Steve and John both bought Bitcoin, $8,000. John, he's been researching it all year. He's confident. He's read the white papers. He knows it's going up. If you asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 absolute faith, 1 massive doubt, he's a 10. He believes in the outcome. Steve, he got a tip from a buddy of his who says, dude, you got to get involved. He says, oh, no, it seems risky. It seems speculative. He's a 1. So they both buy. A few days later, Bitcoin's up at $10,000. And the first guy is thrilled. He says, see, I told you it was going higher. Steve, I hope it doesn't go back down. And a few days later, it's back down at 8,000. First guy, John, doubles down. He buys more. He says, this is the best opportunity out there. Steve, he sells. He is so grateful he didn't lose any money on Bitcoin. Fast forward 3 weeks later, Bitcoin's at $19,500. John sells then, walks away with almost a 250% gain in less than 1 month. Steve, he still has no clue where it's trading, still worried about losing money elsewhere, still stuck in doubt. So here's your lesson. Your belief score matters more than your luck. Let me tell you a story about Raphael. Came to me 7 years ago now. Raphael had a number of real estate properties. He came to me and said, Joel, I want to learn about stocks. And I said, Raphael, I will teach you, but let me ask you, what's your level of belief from 1 to 10, 10 absolute faith, 1 massive doubt, that you can generate at least 100% return in 1 to 2 years? He said, Joel, I'm a 12. He was absolute faith. Fast forward 3.5 years later, Raphael generated 120% return in 4 months, made $2.5 million in the stock market. Most people never even check their belief score before making a decision to invest or scaling their business. And that's why this belief scoring system is pure gold, not Bitcoin, pure gold. So are you mentally ready to step into success and actually handle the growth? Because the difference between a 1 and a 10 isn't how smart you are. It's whether you believe you can. So before you chase that next opportunity, check in with your belief meter. It might just save you from selling yourself short, literally and figuratively. Second big concept tonight. Cheryl already alluded to it. It's called daydreaming on purpose. Visualization. Have you ever caught yourself daydreaming at your desk at work and think, I wish my life looked like that? Well, good news, that's not wasted time. That's actually your brain practicing future success. Visualizing your dreams, your desires, your financial freedom is a powerful technique backed by science. And no, it's not magic, though sometimes it feels like it. Christy Whitman, in her bestseller, Quantum Success, lays it out as a roadmap for connecting with your future self. Step 1, dream big, dream freely, imagine the most awesome, fulfilling, successful life you can. Picture that career, the freedom, the joy. And as Priscilla said, feel it. Feel the joy. Let yourself really feel the excitement. That's step one. Step two is visualize your future. When you combine dreaming, visualizing, and believing, you're not waiting for success. You're practicing it, attracting it, and living it in your mind until it shows up in your physical reality. So go ahead, close your eyes, paint your vision, laugh a little bit. Again, feeling first, manifestation second. And let yourself believe that the life you want is already on its way. Because it is, when you believe. Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. How many years have you been saying next year is going to be different? How many times have you looked at your bank account and said, I'm better than this? I work harder than most people. Why am I still struggling? And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you continue to do what you've always been doing with the exact same beliefs, you're going to get the exact same results. Einstein supposedly said insanity is doing the same thing over again, expecting different results. And maybe Einstein said it, maybe he didn't, but whoever did, absolutely right. And I could stand up here all day and give you more stories and more concepts, and you nod your head and think, that makes sense. And then you walk out of here feeling inspired. And 6 months from now, you're sitting in the exact same place, wondering why nothing's changed. Because here's what I've learned after teaching hundreds of people how to transform their financial lives. Information without implementation is just entertainment. You don't need more information. You probably already know you need to think more positively about your money situation. You probably already know that you need to take action, and you probably already know that your beliefs are holding you back from the life of your dreams. What you need is a little bit of guidance. What you need is somebody who's walked the path, who's understood both the practical mindset and the practical strategies, and can help you navigate the inevitable obstacles that are going to come up in the coming days and weeks. Because let me tell you what's going to happen after you leave here tonight. You're going to start implementing. You're going to start visualizing. You're going to start believing. And then it's going to take probably a few weeks, but your old programming is going to kick back in. Your brain's going to start whispering, who do you think you are? Manifestation hasn't worked for you before. Is it really going to work again? Is it really going to work this time? You're not cut out for this. And look, if you're facing this battle alone, there's a pretty good chance the old programming wins. But what if you didn't have to face it alone? What if you had somebody in your corner helping you, supporting you? What if you had proven strategies for the mindset work, for the practical wealth building techniques, strategies that come from somebody who's managed a $700 million hedge fund? So today, what I'd like to offer you is an invitation for an individualized roadmap. It's called my Financial Freedom Breakthrough Blueprint. It's normally $997. First 5 people, it's my complimentary offer to you. It's my gift. Just click on the link, and I'll put the link in the chat now and grab it. First 5 people. Before I conclude, though, I want to just share with you something that's probably going to blow your mind. And I want this to really sink in. See, I've surveyed hundreds of people about their financial freedom number. You know, that number that when you get to, you don't have to work anymore. And more than 90% of the people I've asked about this number, they're more than $1 million above what it actually is. Let me say it again. 9 out of 10 people think they need more than $1 million over what they actually do need to be financially free, which means that most of you sitting here today, you're actually much closer to financial freedom than your bank account shows. You're not as far away as you think. And it's actually smaller than the gap between limiting beliefs and the truth. And that gap, that's what we've been talking about closing today. So I have a big mission. I think Cheryl knows it. It's to help at least 100,000 people become financially free. It's my vision for this year and every year until I get there, and then we'll go to 1 million, and then 10, and then 100. So my wish truly is to have this whole earth be financially free and be living the life of their dreams. So that's my dream. I'd love to hear what your vision is, what your dream is. But let me just share with you a really powerful quote from my favorite book to conclude. This is Think and Grow Rich, which I read 32 times now, literally 32 times, twice a year, last 16 years. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and bring himself to believe he can achieve. Conceive it, believe it, achieve it." So you've already done the first part today. You've conceived of a different financial reality for yourself. The question is, do you believe it? Are you ready to believe it? Are you ready to believe that you deserve more than just getting by? Are you ready to believe that financial freedom isn't just for other people, it's for you? And are you ready to believe that your current situation isn't a permanent situation? Because if you are, if you're ready to make that leap from conceiving to believing, then the achieving part, that's just a matter of time and the right strategy. The life you want isn't in some distant future. It's not waiting for you to become some different person or to find some secret formula. It's waiting for you to become the person who believes they deserve it. And that person, they're already here. They've been here all along. And they're now ready to wake up. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joel. Does anyone have any questions for Joel? I have some comments in the chat. I hope you all clicked on that link for your 30-minute call today. I will say that personally, both Joel and Priscilla have been enormous supports in my growth over the past several years since I've met both of them. And what they talk about is for real. Absolutely for real. And so incredibly, incredibly helpful. I just want to do one more round, make sure anybody have any questions for Joel.
Wani said, "My dream is to have more time to spend with my children without the worry of how I will pay the bills when I do." Awesome. Let's get on a call. Let's make that happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Joel. Go back to our screen for a moment. I know we're pretty much at time. Wanted to do a quick thank you to our speakers for sharing these super important tools for supporting our vision. We talked about creating a vision, how to think about what it is that we want to do, what we want to accomplish. Want to do a quick member shout out. So I know we're again at time. Priscilla is a member. Joel is a member. Please make sure that you have your information in the chat for people to reach you. Opal is a member. We have Brittany, we have Maria, and if anybody wants to jump in and say anything or make sure your information is in the chat so that people can reach out and connect with you. We have Christine, Patricia, Sonia, Alyssa, anybody who wants to jump in, and Carol, and say something about something quickly that you have going on. Drop some links in the chat. We would really appreciate that.
I'll jump in for a second. I know some people on this call have purchased my book, A Parent's Guide to Supporting Your ADD ADHD Daughter. If you have a few moments, I would appreciate if you would post a review on Amazon for the book. That would be really helpful. I have a couple, but I need to get to 10 hopefully this week.
Can you drop that link in the chat for us, Carol?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Any other members want to share anything that's going on?
I do just want to say that when I think about it now, because we've been doing this for the last few years, like sometimes you don't notice the progress when you're like so zoomed in. Think about like a graph. A graph might have like a curve like this, but if you look just here, it might look flat. But when you zoom out and I think about like where we were a few years ago, and if you think about technically like where I maybe should be based on my health situation and everything, but we're actually like the most financially free that we've ever been in our lives. And I think that Joel, Priscilla, everyone at the networks, everyone here is definitely a part of that. And I'm getting to live part of my dream, going back to school, really doing things that matter to me. And I just see the results of that every day. And so, definitely, I love this group and keep on keeping on, and I think we're all doing great things here.
Thank you, Brittany.
Cheryl, I just put a flyer on the chat. I'm actually the director of communications with a new Long Island Women Chambers of Commerce that's launching on January 29th. So I would like, if anybody's interested in networking in Long Island, I just sent you the flyer for next week. And men and women are invited.
Maria, where are you located on Long Island? I'm on Long Island too.
Well, I'm in Valley Stream, but the Long Island Women Chambers of Commerce is for all of Long Island.
Nice. I'm in Rockville Center. We're very close.
Oh yeah, we're pretty close. You're my neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just put the flyer. The event is on Eventbrite, so hope to see you there.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Maria.
And I'd like to throw out that I have a new website that combines my books and some courses. It's PriscillaKeresey.com. It's in the chat. And I'm relaunching my first book called It Will All Make Sense When You're Dead. And if you look at that book, there's also a 10-module everyday ESP course. So getting to know your intuition and getting to use it and getting to develop trust in it, that is deeply discounted if you buy the book. So check me out. And that sale's ongoing. So
nice.
Thanks, Priscilla. And for anybody who has my book, The Journey of Success, Priscilla was quite instrumental in me getting my stuff together and getting the book done. And she has, there's a review of the book on the, included with the book if you have it.
Yeah, Cheryl's an inspiration, definitely. As is me, both of you guys.
Can I share?
Absolutely.
Sure. So first of all, Cheryl, she's the best. She has kept me so connected for so many years. We became friends a long time ago through networking when I was seriously doing Arbonne. But she always makes sure to check in and get me in here. So I'm happy to be on this Zoom with everyone. And something I heard a lot through all of this, and I was jotting stuff down. I was also cooking, so that's why I turned my video off because I didn't get to eat dinner yet. But one of my goals for 2026, and this is, I'm showing you it here right now because I don't like to speak on camera, but it's being bold and not fighting who I am. And I heard a lot about asking questions, asking why. And I wrote this down because I typed it out. I wrote, sustainability is not fighting who you are, but accepting who you are and finding ways to adapt so you can still reach your goals, whether that's weight loss, business, or life. So many people, and I'm like very focused on weight loss. I lost 110 pounds in 14 months, all naturally between 2024 and 2025. And I wrote a book, how I used ChatGPT as my weight loss accountability partner when I had reached about 85 pounds lost and I felt like I was hitting a bit of a plateau. I started verbally chatting with ChatGPT and it became my accountability partner, and I broke the plateau and I ultimately lost the 100 pounds, and then I went on to lose another 10 more. But I feel like, so diet is a thing for me between writing the book, personally, yo-yo 30-year yo-yo dieter. Why do I feel like now I'm finally at a place where I know I'm going to sustain it? And that's because I started asking myself, after 30 years, I started asking myself better questions. and really learning how to adapt to who I am and not really focusing so much on the diet culture and what all those, like making things my own. Like I tried this and what worked, what didn't work. I tried this, what worked and didn't work, and ultimately made a plan that I feel at 61 years old, I feel like I'm done. No more yo-yo dieting. So I wrote, so many people, especially in the diet culture, try to eat in ways they don't enjoy instead of finding ways to make it work for them. So I thought of things like, you love ice cream, maybe it's a single serving or savor or protein, or make a protein-based version. So there's ways. It's asking, how can it fit? Sustainability lives somewhere in the middle. I also said I was thinking about business because I don't like to be salesy. That was one of my problems doing Arbonne and being in network marketing. I still love Arbonne, 20 years. I still use some of their products, but I don't build a team anymore. But I said, not a salesy by nature, build trust through storytelling, consistency, education, rather than aggressive calls to action. I don't like calls to action. They don't sit well with me. So I always had a problem with that. And, as far as your life, you need structure, but also flexibility. Create loose frameworks instead of rigid rules, so life doesn't feel like a constant failure. So I think it is true that you really just have to kind of ask what you want and then figure out, what do I want and what do I need to do? Because you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect the same results, but you can, try to do things that are a little bit more your speed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, that's what I'm sharing.
Thanks, Christine. And you have a live coming up on Saturday?
Oh, yeah. That just happened by chance. A really good friend of mine through Arbonne. We've stayed connected all these years. She's written a couple of books, and her latest book is a cookbook, because I'm the For the Love of Garlic girl. I have a recipe website of all clean eating. But she just wrote one about turning Filipino food, she's Filipino, into clean eating. And then I relaunched my ChatGPT book recently, and she had seen it, and she decided that she wanted to do a live with me we're going to talk about each of our books on Saturday at 11 a.m. on Instagram. So that's exciting. Yeah. So
you drop your Instagram link on here so if anyone wants to follow that.
Sure. Yes. So anyway.
Thank you. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything you wanted to add?
Christine's very impressive.
Thank you.
We are a wonderful, wonderful group of people, and every time we get together, I'm just reminded of that time and time again. So I wanted to say thank you again to our speakers for sharing these really, really important tools and insight on how we could move forward and make our vision a reality in 2026 and moving forward from that. And a reminder to recognize and believe in progress over perfection, because that's a big part of it. And making sure that we know that growth itself is a goal. So if you're just growing, you're taking steps, that's a goal. And if you're moving in a direction that you want to be moving in, that's progress and that's success. So no one is perfect. No one achieves every single goal, especially on the timeline that you might put out there for you. And it's more important that you're moving forward in that positive direction and growing as a person than it is to meet every single goal that you set, especially if you're setting too many, and especially if they're not in alignment with what it is that you actually want to do. A reminder to celebrate all the successes, even the small ones. That's really important. Information about the networks. If you are interested in becoming a member of the networks, please visit our website at thenetworks.org. You can contact us on social media. We'll be having our next event, our Love Yourself February event. We'll be announcing the date and location of that soon. And thank you really to everyone for joining us tonight. We're super happy to kick off the year again with this. I think this was really important. Again, with all the stuff that's going on in the world, for us to come together in community is more important than ever. And positively support each other in achieving whatever goals it is that we have. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I really appreciate all of you and look forward to connecting with you again shortly in the future. Stay safe and healthy and enjoy the journey, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good
Cheryl.
night.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.